Welcome back, everyone. Today for our deep dive, we're zeroing in on something that sounds simple but is, well, incredibly powerful. It's a kind of linguistic shortcut. Just one expression that can really help you sound, instantly more natural in English. We're talking about that tricky moment, right? That initial silence when people first meet. How do you bridge that gap?
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge barrier for so many people, isn't it? And as you learn English, you realize pretty quickly that fluency isn't just about knowing the words or the grammar. It's about navigating social situations. You could know thousands of words, but if you can't handle that first, maybe awkward 30 seconds, well, you're kind of stuck.
Right, you can't get started.
Exactly. And the sources we look at today, they really pinpoint a fantastic phrase to help with exactly that problem.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We've got some really interesting material that defines and gives context to one key idiom. We want to go beyond just the dictionary definition, really understand why it works, across different situations.
Yeah, the goal is to give you, the listener, not just the phrase, but maybe a little history and definitely some practical ways to use it, like 3 high-impact strategies all wrapped up in this one expression.
Okay, great. Let's unpack it then. The idiom we're focusing on today is break the ice.
Right. Break the ice. And the core definition, like you said, from the sources is pretty straightforward. It means starting a conversation in a friendly way. And the key context here, which is really important, is that it's almost always used when people are meeting for the first time. Or maybe when there's some kind of tension or awkwardness already there.
That phrase itself is so visual, isn't it? Break the ice. It sounds almost a bit, forceful. Why ice?
Yeah.
There's some backstory there that gives it more weight than just, being friendly.
There absolutely is. And that was one of the really fascinating things from the sources. It turns out the phrase actually has roots in, believe it or not, the shipping industry, going back centuries. Yeah. In really cold winters, trade routes would freeze over, solid ice. So they needed special ships, literal ice-breaking ships, to actually carve a path through the frozen rivers or seas.
Wow. Okay, so actual physical ships smashing through ice.
Yeah.
Just so other boats could get through for trade and, connection.
Precisely. That's where the metaphorical power really comes from. Socially, the ice isn't just silence. It's that frozen feeling, the difficulty, maybe the fear of saying the wrong thing, the barrier to actually connecting with someone. So when you break the ice, you're doing more than just saying hello. You're actively carving that path, making it possible for communication to flow where it was blocked before.
That really does reframe it, doesn't it? It's not just about politeness. It's like you're establishing the very possibility of connection. Okay, so with that historical weight in mind, let's look at the how-to part. The sources give us 3 different scenarios, right? Showing how you need to adapt your approach.
Exactly. Different situations need different tools. So the first example is probably the most common setting people think of, a party. The source says, at the party, John told a funny joke to break the ice.
Okay, a joke seems like a classic icebreaker, but why humor specifically? Isn't that a bit risky? What if the joke, bombs?
It definitely carries a risk, but the potential reward, especially somewhere casual like a party, is really high. Think about it psychologically. Laughter. It's a shared response. It's almost involuntary. When people laugh together, even strangers, it releases endorphins. It immediately reduces tension, creates a little bond. And the source stresses a funny joke. That's key. It needs to be something light, probably not controversial, maybe even a little self-deprecating. That signals you're safe, you're approachable.
I see. So it's less about being a comedian and more about signaling, hey, I'm friendly, I don't take myself too seriously. It lowers the collective guard. But if the joke is off color or aggressive, yeah, you haven't broken the ice, you've probably made it thicker.
Exactly. You've created what you might call an anti-icebreaker then. Okay, so now let's shift gears. Second example. Totally different place. A classroom. The source says, the teacher played a game to break the ice on the first day of class.
A game? That feels very different from a spontaneous joke at a party. A game implies structure, rules. Why is that better for a classroom?
Well, think about the environment. It's mandatory, right? People have to be there. At a party, you can wander off if a conversation isn't working. In class, especially on the first day, people might be nervous, shy about speaking up voluntarily. A game provides a structure, a shared task. It gives everyone a specific, low-stakes reason to talk to each other.
Ah, okay, so the structure kind of takes the pressure off. You're not just putting yourself out there hoping someone responds. You're focused on the game, on playing together. The interaction happens as a side effect of the shared activity.
Precisely. It guarantees participation, or at least encourages it strongly. And it frames those first interactions as cooperative, maybe even fun. That's vital if you need a group to work together long term.
Makes sense. Okay, third scenario. This one seems to sit between the purely social party and the structured classroom. It's about meeting new colleagues. The example given is, when I met my new coworkers, I asked about their favorite movies to break the ice.
Yeah, this one feels quite strategic, doesn't it? It's not random humor, it's not a forced game, it's a specific interest-based question. So why movies or something like that? Why does that work well in a more professional or semi-professional setting?
Well, my first thought is that it hits a sweet spot. It's personal, but not too personal. You're asking about their interests, not their, salary history or deepest fears. It feels safer than deeper questions, but more engaging than just the weather.
That's exactly it. Low vulnerability, but high potential for revealing personality. You find out if someone loves sci-fi or documentaries, or maybe you both love the same silly comedy. It makes people seem more human, more relatable, without crossing professional lines. Finding that common ground, even over something simple like movies or maybe books or hobbies, it chips away at the initial formality. It builds a little bridge.
Right. So you find that link, and suddenly the work relationship has a slightly friendlier foundation to build on. Okay, so if we pull all three of these together, the joke, the game, the interest-based question, it seems the big takeaway isn't just what break the ice means, but how you do it depends entirely on the situation. You have to read the room.
Absolutely. That tailoring is crucial. Knowing when humor's okay, when structure is needed, when a simple, open question is best, that's the real skill in using the idiom effectively.
Yeah.
Get it right, you clear the path. Get it wrong, you might just make things more awkward.
Now, let's just zoom out for a second and think about where this information came from. Source 1, the one with the examples, is part of a resource that focuses on learning one useful English expression every day.
Yeah, and that approach itself says something important, doesn't it? Consistency. Becoming fluent, sounding natural, it's often not about cramming huge vocabulary lists. It's more about steadily adding these high-utility phrases like break the ice into your active vocabulary. You learn it, you understand the context, you try using it. One expression a day, consistently applied, that can make a huge difference over time.
And speaking of learning resources, we also saw a mention of another platform, the Learn English with Designer JK channel. Apparently that channel encourages learners to introduce themselves as part of the practice.
Right, and that connects directly back to our main topic, doesn't it? Why do platforms like that focus on introductions? Because initiating conversation is fundamental. It's the starting block for all language practice. You can know all the theory, but if you can't actually start talking to someone,
then all that knowledge stays locked up. You need that key to open the door. So being able to break the ice isn't just a social nicety for language learners. It's actually the mechanism that unlocks everything else. Your speaking practice, your listening, building confidence.
exactly. It shifts the learner from being passive, maybe waiting for someone else to start, to being an active participant in the conversation, a communicator.
Well, this has been really insightful. We've definitely carved a path through this concept today. So just to recap for you, the listener, break the ice. It means kickstarting a friendly conversation when you first meet people. We learned it has this cool history connected to actual ice-breaking ships clearing the way. And we saw that how you do it really matters. Sometimes a joke works, sometimes a game is better, sometimes a simple question about interests is the way to go. It all depends on the context.
And given that the whole point of this idiom is about creating a friendly, open path for conversation, and we've talked a lot about context, about low-stakes topics versus maybe riskier ones. Here's something for you to chew on. We saw how things like asking about favorite movies work well because they're low stakes. So what defines the opposite? What's the ultimate anti-icebreaker? Think about a question or maybe a statement that doesn't just fail to break the ice, but actually builds a wall, makes things instantly more difficult, more awkward, less friendly.
Oh, interesting. So if the goal is friendly connection, what kind of opening line would just slam the door shut? Something maybe too personal, too controversial, too prying right at the start? That really makes you think about applying those principles of safety and low vulnerability we discussed. Definitely something to keep in mind next time you walk into a room full of new faces.